He sang love songs that made people fall in love for generations, but no one thought that his last act would start a family business worth millions. Walter Scott of the famous R&B group The Whispers died at the age of 81. A few days later, his wife told a heartbreaking lie that shocked everyone. He left us a lot of money and a secret. But what did Walter really leave behind? Also, why do some people now doubt the truth of it all? Join us. You won't want to miss this story about loss, legacy, and shocking shocks that keeps getting better. Walt Scott wasn't just in the famous R&B group The Whispers. Some of the best songs from the 1970s and 1980s had his voice on them. They had smooth voices, nice suits, and harmonies that made hearts melt. Walter helped shape a time period. Fans all over the world are now sad because they heard he died at age 81. Thanks to the many tributes from music stars, friends, and famous people, a new wave of sadness has hit home. Not because of the music he made, but because of what he left behind. Suddenly, Walter's wife broke her silence with tears in her eyes. She told her close family and friends, "He didn't just leave us his music, he left us a fortune." Right away, there were a lot of questions. Where did the cash come from? How much did it cost? What are they getting? Also, why are some people mumbling that things might not be as great as they seem? Today's movie goes into great detail about the hidden fact about Walter Scott's death, the huge amount of money he left behind, and the terrible emotions that his family felt afterwards. You will find out things about Walter's personal life, his business empire, and even the court drama that is going on below the surface that you have never heard before. You won't believe what happened a few days before he died. Take a seat and get ready, since this is where things get serious. Walt Scott was just a young man from California with a dream before the Whispers told everyone about his secret wealth. His dream was to make songs that would last longer than his life. His twin brother Wallace Scotty Scott helped start the Whispers in the early 1960s. The Whispers were a group that would go on to become one of the most recognized and long-lasting R&B acts of all time. Their love songs, smooth, pitch-perfect harmonies, and rock-solid beats made them a unique act that mixed romance, class, and soulful groove. Walter was usually the quiet one in the background. He was known for being humble, loving his family, and being very focused on the business side of the music business, which many people didn't know. Walter was a lot more than just a singer, which most people don't know. Walt was busy making plans behind the scenes while his friends were busy performing and enjoying their fame. He bought real estate, joined a number of jazz and soul clubs in the 1990s, and even helped start a publishing business that had the rights to a number of famous soul songs. Friends and family of Walter say that he always said, "Music made me famous, but business made me stable." Walter was slowly building up his wealth, choosing to live a simple life while letting his investments grow. His name didn't make the news outside of the Whispers very often. Walter's wife later told him that he read a lot about money, control, and passing down wealth. But here's the catch. A lot of those purchases were not open to the public. There were things Walter owned that not even all of his family members knew about. It wasn't until after he died that the paper trail started to show how big his business was. Now we can move on to the next part. What did Walter's wife really find out after he died? And why did the family suddenly fight about it? There was a lot of sadness in the air in the days after Walter Scott died, not only from fans and other artists, but also from his close family and friends. Everyone was shocked when his wife had a crying fit at a private memorial. It totally changed the mood of the morning. People who saw her say she stood there shaking and crying as she held a bag full of papers. It wasn't just that she lost her husband. She had to carry a secret that he had left behind. She told him, "He didn't tell me everything. The man who died left us a lot of money and stuff to think about." Close friends and family say that after Walter died, his wife found a bunch of sealed packages in a locked safe that she hadn't even known was there. There were investment papers, property deeds, and what looked like account records from an offshore bank inside. It was written by hand and had dates from the last 10 years. It was directed to her and their children and explained some of his financial choices. What shocked her the most, though, was how much Walter had gathered without ever bragging or boasting. People close to the family have given rough figures that the fortune, which is hidden in a number of trusts, investments, and asset portfolios, could be worth anywhere from $5 million to $12 million, but that wasn't the part that made everyone lost for words. He is said to have written in one of the letters, "This isn't just for you to live on, it's for you to protect. I left it this way because some people won't be happy with it." This one line made people in the room whisper. That talk quickly turned into rumors, especially among family members who weren't named in the letters or any other part of the estate planning. That fight with his wife wasn't just a raw moment of feeling, it was a turning point. Her voice shaking as she fights tears as she says, "I didn't even know who he really was behind those closed doors. The video has now gone viral." Fans and people who study the media both wondered how much the public really knew about Walter Scott. That's not all, though. Formal warnings were brought to the family home by lawyers just 2 days after the funeral. As the papers started to come out, they showed a carefully guarded estate plan that some family members were already getting ready to fight. Things get even worse from here on out. One of Walter's grown children from a past relationship is now speaking up. They said they were cut out of the will on purpose. But were they, or is there something more planned going on behind the scenes? As more information came out about Walter Scott's secret wealth, his family became closer together. After singing for a long time about love and harmony, the man left behind a storm of mistrust, division, and very personal charges. Walter Scott had kids, but not all of them were born from marriage. There have been rumors for a long time in the R&B world that Walter had children from a relationship before he married his wife of 40 years. Though his family knew this, what he did next shocked everyone, even those closest to him. In the days after Walter's funeral, his family's lawyers were able to get a copy of his signed will. What it showed was a surprise. Walter's will said that most of his assets, such as several rental homes, the rights to several Whisper songs, and valuable business shares, would go to his wife and 2 children. But what shocked his whole family was that he didn't include his oldest son in a previous relationship at all. Within hours of that news going public, the son who was left out, who is now in his 40s, talked to local media and dropped a surprise. He told me many years ago that I would get my share. We talked about this. He even asked for my help with some of those early moves. What did happen? Where am I in those papers? That one quote started a lot of conversations online, especially among fans who had been following the rumors from the start. People started to wonder if Walter was hiding more than just money, or if his goals had just changed as he got older. Friends of the family say that Walter and his oldest child had been tense for years because they didn't agree on things like living choices, bad business deals, and maybe even betrayal. But the specifics are still not clear. Still, the choice to leave him out of the will has made people very angry and started a legal fight that could split the family in two. Lawyers for Walter's estate put out a short statement. The estate plan that Mr. Scott made with the help of a lawyer was very detailed and shows what he really wanted. Any claims to the contrary will be dealt with in the right way by the law. The story is still going on though. In fact, the son who wasn't included is now saying that he has audio records and letters that show Walter wanted him to be included. This suggests that someone may have changed Walter's will after his health started to get worse. The rumors are getting louder now. Walter's will was changed, right? In his last years, did someone have an effect on him? Is there a secret reason he only left millions to some of his family? There is one thing that is clear. It's not just about money. Legacy, trust, and the cracks in a family that everyone thought was strong are at the heart of this story. That's not all though, because just when the family thought things couldn't get any worse, a reporter found a case Walter had tried to hide from everyone. It might also explain everything. Just when it looked like the story couldn't get any stranger, someone from outside the family dropped a quiet news. A reporter who was looking into Walter Scott's estate found a case that had been filed in Los Angeles County more than 10 years ago, but had been forgotten about. It had never been in the news. Fans of the Whispers didn't know it existed, but when it was found, It showed a darker and more complicated side of the R&B superstar. Walter was in a civil case in 2011 over a disputed publishing contract that related to several early Whispers songs, including one that still brings in royalty checks today. Court records show that a former business partner of Walter's accused him of getting distribution rights on a joint composition deal without permission. It's said that the deal went bad after the partner was fired. Walter denied the charges and allegedly paid a six-figure sum to settle out of court. There were rules that said the case had to be kept secret, but now sources say that it really hurt him emotionally, especially since the person who sued him was someone he used to think of as family. This is where it gets real. People who know about the situation say that the lawsuit's effects broke up a big business relationship and made Walter lose faith in many people, even some of his own family members. After that, Walter stopped talking about his money with anyone. To avoid problems in the future, he started making fake companies, trusts, and putting assets under business names. A previous lawyer who asked to remain anonymous said that Walter's goal wasn't to get money, but to keep people safe. He swore it would never happen again after getting burned once. He built his kingdom in secret so no one could see it, and the way he wants. This helps to explain why even some of his family members didn't know how much money he really had, or why he made such specific choices in his will. Walter didn't just want to split the money. It had to do with keeping the peace, avoiding trouble, and awarding loyalty. In a strange way, the family is falling apart because of the same attempt to avoid fighting, but it brings up another disturbing question as well. Walter must have been very careful. So why didn't he leave more detailed directions to stop all this chaos, did he? Another sealed package that Walter's wife found had a note written by him that said, "If they fight over this, then they never knew what mattered to me in the first place." The gift was never this money. That sad line has since gone popular on social media, with both fans and famous people commenting on it. Some people call it beautiful. Some people say it means the man saw trouble coming. They might not have stopped it enough though. But here's the catch. The date wasn't on the note. Now, one of the people who are questioning the will says it was made after Walter died to support the present estate plan. It's no longer just a family fight. The court case is turning into a full-on war, which could soon bring Walter Scott's name into the public eye. There's still one more twist to come because his wife hasn't opened the last package yet. It is signed, sealed, and marked, and you can only open it if everything breaks. There was one question that hung in the air like smoke as the fight over Walter Scott's money got worse. Lawyers were getting ready, family members were turning against each other, and the media started to circle. What else did Walter know that no one else did? The envelope came next, a single cardboard envelope. The sides are a little worn, and Walter's handwriting can be seen across the front. Only open if everything breaks. His wife had kept it for days because she wasn't sure if she should open it or not, because she didn't know how to handle what it might hold. But when the lawyers showed up, old family grudges came to a head and public pressure grew. She chose to open it even though tears were running down her face. It wasn't money or bank records that she found inside, not directions on how to run the estate. It was a 5-page handwritten letter from Walter himself that was very personal and heartbreaking. It was dated 4 months before he died. The writing wasn't meant to be legal. It wasn't full of business terms or lists of assets. It was an honest admission from a man who had loved deeply and lived a long life, but he was afraid of what his death would bring. Walter called each of his kids by name in the letter. He admitted making mistakes in the past, especially with his distant son, and he admitted that he had broken some promises. However, he also said why he did what he did. He said he had spent years trying to make something that would last beyond news and royalty checks, something that would protect the people he loved, even if it meant at times hurting them. In a very sad section it says, "I built walls because I was scared, not of dying. I'm okay with that." Seeing the people I care about fight over things I can't change makes me sad. The storm has come if you're reading this, and I'm sorry I couldn't stop it, but please remember this. The gift is not money, you're. The family was completely shocked by that letter. It meant the world to his wife. Walter hadn't done what he did because he wanted to, but because he really cared. For some, it made old wounds worse. And it made his distant son think about painful things. You said you were sorry, so why leave him out? Why say you're sorry, but not fix them while they are still living? While they are still living. Even though the letter was heavy, it showed one more thing. On the back of the envelope, there was a signed addendum that was legally added to Walter's first will. It was only a few weeks before he went to the hospital and said that a different trust had been set up in the name of his estranged son to hold the royalties and rights to 2 songs Walter had written by himself. Something, a last chance to make peace. It wasn't a wealth or an equal amount, but it was something, and everything changed when Walter's distant son shocked the media by saying, "I'm not going to fight this in court," after reading the letter and talking to Walter's wife alone. "My dad made peace in his own way, and I won't belittle that." And just like that, the legal storm started to calm down. The anger didn't go away overnight, and trust doesn't grow with just one letter, but Walter's last envelope did something that no courtroom could. It reminded his family who he was, not just an R&B legend or a businessman, but a man who loved deeply and feared what legacy really meant. Fans are still celebrating his music, and that memory of coming together, thinking, and finally forgiving is starting to sound stronger than any scandal ever could.